the data can often be the source of truth and the ground truth. So sometimes what you have to do is you have to take the emotion out of everything, because it's somebody's pet baby, it's somebody's real pet idea. They've furnished it for a long time, and they're emotionally entangled with it. And sometimes you have to say, okay, look, we can both be wrong. We can definitely both be wrong here. Let's go back to a ground truth between us, where let's see what the data tells us, and let's start back from there and just make sure that we're aligned on the ground truth first. How we decide to go forward from there can be different. But you talk about I'll try to make it easier for your listeners, but you talk about the robotic control and the instruments, and you want perfection in the control because you want to go from A to B with it being a perfect movement with no overshoot, no nothing. You don't want the robot to go further.
Yeah, no latency.
No latency. But sometimes in the way, because you've got a human in the loop, you've got a surgeon in the loop who's actually expecting some latency and expecting some overshoot, because that's how they do it in the real world. You may end up also having, as you say, manufacturing constraints, which is, if you want this to the absolute perfection, that instrument would be so expensive to make, and the amount of size it would be, it would just be an impracticality. So you end up where the ground truth can say, the reality of the data says is these are the inputs that we need. This is what it needs to actually do. This is the performance matrix that it actually needs to be at. And then you can step back and you can reframe everything around that ground truth, which says, so does it absolutely have to be a perfect A to B? I mean, could you make it? I mean, because the ground truth says it's okay. That sort of thing. And I think sometimes you can do it through that. There are points, though, where you may get into a conversation where you're going just in loops. It's the dog chasing its tail, and you can't get out of it, and nobody's going to let go, right? That's where often in meetings you have to either have governance or structure in meetings or in conversations, where we all get a voice, but at some point a decision has to be made, and it can't just be some kind of weird completely socialistic way there where everybody's voice just counts 100%, because you end up with chaos. So you also have to have governance in there of saying, okay, well, ultimately, if we can't reach a decision, there has to be almost a referee that comes based upon the best evidence and the best data, not the best arguments, because the best arguments are often not the best solution, but the best data and the best practicality of the way forwards. Somebody has to make a call. And that's where, and again, if I'm talking to people who are starting in the career, that's where leadership comes in.